As the Soviets gained power in Afghanistan, the rebels grew stronger and stronger. Many men, both young and old, volunteered to be a part of the Mujahideen. Noor and Ahmed were not keen on joining, but when they realized they were being paid, they were as ready as can be. All of them were nervous to fight, but their leader Kabir reassured them they were doing the right thing for their country. Their first battle was a tough one. 4 squadrons of 40 people went into battle, and only 70 people came back alive. It was then that the two boys realized how cruel the war can actually be. As the years went on, Ahmed and Noor both became decorated Mujahideen soldiers, eventually leading their own squadrons to war. Noor and Ahmed stayed together and always had each other's backs. The night before their sneak attack on the Soviet forces, Noor said to Ahmed, "I have a bad feeling about this, brother. Don't worry about a thing, brother. I am here for you and always will be. Allah is on our side," Ahmed said, talking to Noor. "I don't think we should battle tomorrow," said Noor. "Noor, we have no choice. We are going into battle tomorrow. End of story. I do not care about what you have to say. You will listen to me. I am your older brother," said Ahmed. "You are nothing but a harami. I hate you. I wish you were never my brother," said Noor, screaming at Ahmed. "Mama loves me way more, and no one in the family will miss you if you are dead." At this point, Ahmed was fuming. He stood up and said very quietly, "I will see you tomorrow on the battlefield at 5:45 a.m., and then walked out of their tent. The next morning at 5:45 a.m., all the men lined up in a straight row, with their guns and knives ready to fight. Noor and Ahmed stood on opposite sides of the line, ready to attack the Soviets. Around 6:15 a.m., they decided it was time to commence. Ahmed blew the horn and everyone started to run. It was truly a bloody fight. Soldiers lay on the ground with bleeding stumps for their limbs. Some were shot in the gut and bled out, and others ran away in fear. Noor was fighting 3 Soviet men at one point. As he killed one of them, another one stabbed him in the stomach, causing him to drop to his knees on the hot sand beneath him. Ahmed, from the other side of the battlefield, saw his younger brother on his hands and knees. He rushed over, yelling, "Noor!" trying to get to him as quick as possible. Unfortunately, Ahmed was too late. Noor had dropped to the ground. His eyes stopped moving, and eventually his breathing and heartbeat had stopped. The Soviet troop had stabbed him straight in the chest and stomach. Noor was dead. Ahmed felt this raging fire within him and tried to kill the Soviet that took his brother from him. In trying to do so, he was shot in the leg. He eventually ran away from the shooting and grabbed his brother's body. Trying to shelter Noor's body from further damage, Ahmed dragged him all the way back to their campsite. When everyone was safe and Ahmed had received medical attention, he started to sob and sob while muttering, "My brother, I love you and I will avenge your death." It was then that Ahmed decided he would kill the Soviet who murdered his brother. It was no longer about protecting his country. It was now about avenging his brother's death. For the next couple of years, the only thing on Ahmed's mind was how could he kill as many Soviets as possible, and how could he find the man that killed his brother. He led numerous groups into war and eventually becoming a captain of many different squadrons. He figured out that the name of the Soviet that had killed his brother was Vektor Kim. He was a highly ranked Soviet officer who, like Ahmed, had many men under his control and power. Ahmed obsessed over Vektor for months, trying to track his whereabouts and be at the battles he was going to be at. It was April 10th, 1987, when Ahmed was captured from his home base and taken into questioning by the Soviets. They locked him in a small, foul-smelling, dark and dirty jail cell. They gave him 1 meal a day and tortured him for hours upon hours. They beat him with sticks, metal rods, whips, and even their bare hands. He also burnt them on his chest and his hands. They were cut all over his body, trying to get just a little bit of information out of him. The only words that Ahmed would ever say were, "I only speak with Vektor Kim." As the days went on, the Soviets grew tired of receiving no information from Ahmed, so they called in their captain, Vektor Kim. Vektor Kim was a tall white man with platinum blonde hair and eyes as blue as the Caribbean Sea. He had a very thick accent and a loud, threatening voice. As he entered the room, he glared at Ahmed. "Why do you wish to speak with me?" said Vektor, walking towards Ahmed. "I would like to make a deal with you," said Ahmed, glaring back at Vektor. "What is the deal?" asked Vektor. At this point, many of the Soviets were interested in what Ahmed had to say. I've studied you for a very long time. I know every battle you fought at. I know you've killed about 100 people. I know everything about you. I also know that you killed my baby brother, said Ahmed. Let's have a fight between you and me. If I win the fight, you let me go back to the Mujahideen, and if I lose the fight, you can execute me in front of all your soldiers. But I am warning you, I will defeat you. You may have killed 100 people, but I have something you do not have. Love. Vector turned fiery red and said, Okay, but if I win, I want you to tell me where the Mujahideen's main campsite is. Deal? Deal, said Ahmed. 2 Soviet soldiers untied Ahmed and gave him a sword. Ahmed and Vector both raised their swords and started to fight. Their swords clashed as each other fenced for their lives. After many blows and slashes, Vector bested Ahmed. He fell to the ground with a blow to the face. After standing up and spitting out blood, Ahmed looked Vector directly in the eye and took his sword and stabbed it right into his chest. Everyone's cheering had stopped, and no one spoke. The Soviets were in shock of what had just happened. Ahmed let his sword fall to the ground and hit with a loud clank. He slowly started limping towards the door and stopped when he heard a bang. He dropped to his knees and said very quietly to himself, Layla, be safe. I love you, and please forgive me.